What folklore creature do you think really exists? The Kraken is almost definitely an extra THICC colossal squid, and I want him found. If there was an undiscovered folklore creature somewhere, I'd put all my money on it being one of the ocean ones. Loch Ness Monster, Kraken, etc. Some sort of sea monster. The ocean is so incredibly big and goes insanely deep. Who knows what we can't see in the depths? Edit. To everyone hitting me with the loch means lake, not ocean. Yes, I am very aware of that. But it is called the Loch Ness Monster because it was seen in Loch Ness, a lake which is very much connected to the ocean through River Ness. Which means if it is real, there's a chance it's from the ocean, making it a sea monster. Although to be fair, I have no idea how big the river is. But it could have slipped through the river when it was a baby and grew up in the lake. It could be argued that giant squids are what was believed to be krakens, especially seeing how they're so rare. Most of the ocean things I wouldn't be surprised by, considering coelacanths were thought to be extinct until relatively recently. I think it makes sense that there's all sorts of crazy shit down there that we might never discover. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Also Mothmen, just because I think it's hilarious and too ridiculous to be fake. If Mothman did exist, it would be fucking terrifying. If I found out Mothman actually existed, I'd nope the heck out of this life. Might not be new to most people, but the jackalope actually does exist. Technically, the jackalope is a North American legend, a rabbit with antlers. In reality, it's a rabbit suffering from a virus that causes weird growths on its head. Wait, jackalopes are mythical? Damn, I just always assumed they were real for some reason. I got a jackalope coin bank from my grandpa when I was a kid. I had no idea they weren't real for the longest time. I always hoped to see one. Megaconda. It's just a really big anaconda, and since those snakes grow continually throughout their lives, I wouldn't be surprised if some have, in the past, gotten over 50 feet or more. There are unconfirmed sightings of anacondas around that length actually. The problem with confirming these things is that you would have enough people, and strong people at that, to hold it out all the way extended and measure it. Or you would have to kill it somehow, before it got away. So basically impossible. Just hold a wireless mouse against it as it slithers past. Then measure how far the cursor moved on the monitor. Or you can knit a sweater for it. If the sweater fits, that's your measurement. If not, then knit a new sweater. Russian Yeti. There was a 3-hour documentary on Discovery and it freaked me out. It's actually just a typical Yeti, but it squats and wears a tracksuit. Legend has it you can't see them with a naked human eye, only in dashcam videos. I'd love to believe that one day when we have mastered the whole space travel thing, we will detect alien life on another planet which will freak everyone out. Mass panic. Then we go to their planet for a little look and it's just a bunch of Ewoks jabbering about being adorable. But Ewoks are terrifying. They eat other sentient creatures and can fight and win over a technical superior trained soldiers. According to the legend's lore, Ewoks have magic that can completely destroy planets. So don't fuck with the Ewoks, man. That Japanese creature with an eye on his butthole that runs at you and moons you while looking at you. There's weird shit in the deep woods. I heard the Pope goes out there to do his business. I've lived in and around significant mountain ranges, and some deep forests in the south. Heard bears and wolves and mountain lions calling out of the deep woods. The thought of a Wendigo or Goatman scares the piss out of me. Weird shit happens when you get too deep in the forest. Unicorns, or as the modern world know it as rhinoceros. It's kind of hilarious that the entire reason the concept of the unicorn exists is that the closest thing shitty artists could relate to while trying to draw a rhino was a horse. Early elephant drawings are also horribly inaccurate. Greater than early elephant drawings are also horribly inaccurate. Let's all remember how medieval cats are drawn, and we can rest assured that elephants could have 5 trunks. have tusks out their ass and ears on their legs for all they knew. Edit. I see many don't know what horrors need to be unleashed. So I'll just make it easy for you all are medieval cats and you can thank me later. The sea bear. The techniques to keep it away are very complicated. That's an oval. It has to be a circle. Quote, I would not be terribly surprised for us to discover a North American ape or monkey living in the deep woods, but I will be shocked if it is more than 2 feet tall and 50 pounds. We humans are unbelievably bad at estimating size and distance. Ask any hunter about ground shrinkage and that is on an animal they love and know passionately and spends years staring at. Someone catching a glance of something odd and remembering it huge is not even a little unusual. The two I think are most likely. The kraken. Giant squid have finally been conclusively proven to exist in the last decade or so. It's not beyond belief an even larger variety is out there, or was still extant in the age of sailing. The other is Bigfoot, Sasquatch. While the most well-known sighting recording has been proven a hoax, the stories of them go back hundreds of years in native tribes. The description is not that far off from the Gigantopithecus that once really did exist. While it seems unlikely a sustainable breeding population of those could have remained alive this long, it's not impossible. We've rediscovered other species thought extinct. And the Pacific Northwest is huge and there are a lot of very remote forests. I'm a lot more dubious of this one, but these are the two that seem the most plausible to me. Edit. I've been told multiple times that the Patterson film was not disproven, so I stand corrected on that. For some reason I thought I heard he recanted it as a hoax, but I am in error. Removed. We want them stories be not the poster but also Irish. There are fairy trees on our land that no one would cut down. None of us believe fairies exist, but it's just more of a cultural thing for any kids we might have. Some people you do believe though. There is a politician in Kerry I believe who keeps blaming fairies for a pothole reappearing in a rural road. Maybe 80 years ago another farmer was murdered for cutting down a fairy tree. One of his neighbors thought they would get cursed. Fairy is a misleading word for the AOC or the city. Forgotten gods are closer to what they were known as in pre-Christian Ireland. They were the gods in Ireland before Christianity feared beyond measure, who battled the demonic Fomorians and drove them into the sea and lived in another world. And when the Christians came and tried to change the story to make them more mythical, they become the angels who lived in neither heaven or hell and instead lived in another world watching earth and messing with mortals. They were terrifying, but the thing that always creeped me out was how they were basically aliens before sci-fi became common. Mysterious creatures from another world who abducted people and then returned them with no memory of what happened. The fear some people have today of aliens is the same fear people back then had of the city, and if aliens did come to Earth at some point, which I don't think they did, they would have acted very similar to the way the city are described as acting. Of every myth and legend, the Fae are to me the most interesting and terrifying ones because of how alien they would be and how common the story of magic people coming and playing tricks to villagers were in most popular culture, and the cruelty in which they punished those who broke deals with the Monsieur. Aliens, ghosts, gods, angels and devils all into one, wrapped in an almost human package. They are without a doubt the most terrifying and most fascinating creatures in any mythos. Considering the fact that we've recorded massive sea creatures moving faster and deeper than anything we know on sonar, along with the fact that we've explored, what is it, less than 2% of the ocean? We're also finding new sea creatures every single day. I realize that sounds far-fetched, but this is all off the top of my head, and from what I've heard from a number of sources. Whether they were all reliable or not, I honestly cannot recall. I think it's possible there's some big shit down there. Oh, and as someone else mentioned, shit in the deep woods. Not many people have gone to where I'm talking about. Even those that go miles into the woods stay on well-preserved trails. So how do we know there isn't shit miles into nowhere? We don't. I grew up on northern Ontario, and when I was a kid we'd fish lakes you had to fly into. There are thousands of them, Monsieur No roads. As so many of us live in cities, we tend to lose sight of how fucking remote so much of the world really is. If you're ever in the woods and you find a staircase, do not go up. NYC sewer alligators. In the early 20th century, small alligators as pets were apparently a popular thing among kids, and when they started to get too big, parents allegedly disposed of them by throwing them down the drains into the sewers like dead goldfish. I can totally see them living off the massive sewer rats and growing to be a decent size. And a dark, dank, muddy environment like the NYC Underground seems like a viable habitat for the Monsieur. They were also the inspiration for Doc Connors from Spider-Man. New York also has a large subterranean homeless population from which people disappear but aren't reported as missing all the time. That toucan that drinks all those pints of Guinness, he's out there, irresponsibly flying while intoxicated, catcalling some seagulls, shitting in the bushes. Gotta watch out for him. Canadians, they're just not as nice as the legends say. It's true. Lot of us are tremendous assholes. Source: I'm a tremendous asshole and I live in downtown Toronto. Michele Mbembe, a sauropod that lurks in the massive jungle, swamp, rainforest in Central Africa. Spent way too long scrolling to find this. The Congo Basin has so many remote areas. If a large cryptid did exist, it would be the best place. I lived in the Congo for a bit and my father was a bush pilot. You could fly for hours without seeing any sign of life. Planes go missing there all the time. Just crash into the jungle and the jungle swallows them whole. They told us that if your plane crashes you better hope you die on impact because any sign of you will be gone by sunrise. My girlfriend that goes to another school, she is real. She can't meet you because she's the head cheerleader and is always at practice at weekends. Wendigo and skinwalkers. Edit. Guys, this comment got so many answers I can no longer read the new ones that are showing up because they, disappear from existence after I tap on them in my messages. I am from East Africa and we also have mythology about skinwalkers. The most famous story is about two lions called the Ghost and the Darkness. They were two adult male lions without manes. They killed many workers of a British colonial railway and took their bodies as trophies and stored the cadavers in their cave. This is very, very strange behavior for a lion or any other animal. Africans believed that the Ghost and the Darkness were two witch doctors that turned into lions to fight the colonialists that were destroying the animal's habitat. Both lions were eventually killed. They're now in a museum in America, I think. They're in Chicago. You know how I know that skinwalkers are real? Because the people who have seen them don't want to talk about the Monsieur, and if you can convince them to talk about their sighting, a dead serious atmosphere settles in around you and they talk with a fear and reverence unlike anything. Thunderbirds. As a form of a traditional demon, the Baba Yaga, a witch Slavic folklore, had an imaginary friend named Baba Witch that lived in my barn when I was little. One time I was playing with it, and got locked in a room with no lock. I screamed for nearly 30 minutes before my mom got me out. Fast forward a few years, and I had gotten these things called creature cards, which were like big cards with pictures in. Facts about animals and monsters and stuff. When I saw the Baba Yaga, it looked almost exactly how I'd imagined Baba Witch. Fast forward to now, it all kind of clicked for me. Danny DeVito. I spotted him running naked through the woods of Vermont once. No one ever believes me, but I swear he really exists. IDK man, that magnum of a dong sounds surreal to me. For hundreds, if not 1000s of years, fairies have been throughout stories, literature, and tales. Little bright lights, Surely people were seeing something. Maybe it was assumed the orbs had tiny human for Monsieur IDK. Could go hand in hand, I suppose. The Wendigo. Wendigo. About a half hour ago, mate. Get off the internet, dad. The Wendigo in Until Dawn really freaked me out. No shit. The scene in the house is fucking terrifying. The Wendigo stems out of cautionary tales about the taboo of cannibalism among the Algonquin peoples. The idea of a malevolent spirit that infects and changes a person that resorted to cannibalism is fairly apt, and it's easy to see how the warnings morphed into the Wendigo. That said, tales of skinwalkers and their kind I believe have more truth to them than I am comfortable with. Morality issues aside, it's easy to contract prion diseases through cannibalism, which would create an altered, if not praised, persona for the cannibal. It's also likely they may be referring to the late-stage effects of syphilis. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.